Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So in this video I've got something really exciting to show you and explain and explore with you today, and that is quad 100 stats legit. And by legit I mean, you know, not with the use of a mod that gives invisible stats or something like that, you know, like Font of Wisdom or whatever. This is quad 100s with actually quad 100s. As you can see here. Very, very difficult to do, but I'm basically just going to talk about quad 100s in general, everything that you're going to need to achieve it, and then also the best places to farm for high stat armor for double 100s, triple 100s, and then quad 100s, respectively. So, getting into this, I'm just going to talk about the general mods that you'll definitely want. And then also some subclass stuff, because, you know, this is only possible on Stasis at the moment. In Witch Queen, this is more than likely going to be possible with Void, because we're getting Void 3.0 and we're getting fragments and aspects with that, and they'll probably have stat increases. So if they do have stat increases, this may be possible on Void as well. But if not, then this will only be possible on Stasis for however long that it remains possible on Stasis. And then obviously with Witch Queen we'll also get more mods that increase different stats. Hopefully, anyway. That'll make this possible maybe without Stasis and without Void. Who knows? But yeah, getting into this first, I guess I'll go through Shadebinder, because this is what I've got it on. Right, I've got it on my Warlock. These are the 4 fragments that you will need 100% for this. You have to have these. I don't think this is possible without all 4 of these. So you will want Whisperer Chains for plus 10 recov. You'll want Whisperer Shards for plus 10 resi. You want Whisperer Endurance for plus 10 strength. And then you want Whisperer Conduction for another 10 resi and 10 intellect. So, you know, you're getting a lot of stats for free, which is great. Alright, so on the mod side of things, you will actually only want 2 mods. You can see here, only have, you know, the outlier here, Radiant Light. But if you're going to go into Moby instead of Resilience, you will need Powerful Friends. Here it is. Both of these mods are available from Ada randomly. I'm not sure if you're watching this in Witch Queen, if that's still the case. It might be from somewhere else, but I think it's still going to be from Ada. So if that's the case, then just wait around until you can pick one of these up. If you decide to go for Strength, you'll need Radiant Light. If you decide to go for Moby, you'll need Powerful Friends. And there are no other mods currently, as I'm making this video, that increase your stats by 20 for free. So yeah, that's the only thing you really need. Aside from that, it's just big mods, you know, your usual general armor mod here, the stats, and then the subclass, and that combat mod at the end for free stats. And that's it. That is the general easy, you know, way to gain stats for quad 100s, triple 100s, double 100s, whatever. But now we've got all that out of the way, the easy stuff. We're going to go through a ton of different sources, and the best sources to actually get high stat armor easily, with very little effort, honestly. So let's get into that. Okay, so for the easiest source of high stat armor, and this applies to both new lights and veterans, you know, anyone starting up the game can do this right now. This will not exist in Witch Queen, so please keep that in mind. If you're watching this after Witch Queen has released, this probably does not exist at all, so you can't do this. But if you actually do own Season of Splicer and you're watching this before Witch Queen, you can come down to this section right here, the tier 3 focusing section with the engrams that have, you know, high rolls for different stats. And this is all going to be guaranteed high stat armor, no matter what. It's very, very potent as well. I actually am wearing 2 pieces of gear that came from this. You can see here, Lightkin. That's the armor that comes from this. So, yeah, it's very, very good. Now, there is a little trick and a little system that you can do to actually get even more guaranteed high stat armor from this. So, you can see we have all of our different stats here. And all the different stats are actually split into different tiers. So they're split down the middle, right here. So Recov, Resilience, and Moby are all in one tier. Dis, Int, and Strength are all in another tier. Now, if we combine this with the Ghost mod, so you can see I have Intellect Armour. You actually have to combine both of the tiers together. So I have Intellect Armour, which means I can only buy the 3 from this tier. If I buy anything from this tier, from the Recaster, for high stat armor, with Intellect Armour on, they get cancelled out. Something's getting cucked, basically. So if I was to use Intellect Armour and buy an Intellect engram, I would no longer get high stat Intellect Armour. If I was to have Intellect Armour on and then buy a Recov engram, they would both be high stat. So that's kind of how it works. You have to combine the tiers together, but you can't combine the same tier with the same tier. Some people recommend these. You might be looking at these and like, wow, that's really easy to get. And you also have more focuses available for the week. The thing is, this is a bait. Do not buy these. Sometimes they can give you high stat stuff, but it isn't guaranteed. It's actually like a 50-50 chance. I've never had anything good from this in my time grinding for quad 100s, and that the same goes for this as well. I've never had anything good from this, so I do not recommend wasting your time grinding for these engrams. Just go for Season of the Splicer. They are way easier to get, and they are definitely the safest play, because they will always drop high stat armor across the board, and obviously comboed with the ghost thing that I mentioned, you're going to get 2 stats higher, guaranteed, every time. That's especially, great for double 100s. So, yeah, let's move on to the next one. Alright, so moving on to the next one, we also have raids and dungeons. They will drop very nice high stat armor. Not guaranteed, unlike the Season of the Splicer, decrypting method. But there are some sources that do give you guaranteed high stat drops from raids and dungeons. The dungeon side being the Pit of Heresy final boss. If you run that on every character every week, that is a guaranteed high stat drop for those characters. And also the Master Bolt of Glass raid will drop a high stat piece, as you can see here, recovery, every week. It changes. It is not guaranteed that you'll get armor, but let's say you run a Master raid and you get armor from every single encounter. Every single encounter that drops that armor is going to have whatever the weekly high stat is, right? So in this case, it's Recov, so I would run the raid. Let's say I get armor drops the whole way. Every single one of those armor pieces is going to have extremely high Recov for free. So that's great. And that's pretty much it for raids and dungeons. I'm not sure if there's anything else that's guaranteed besides what I mentioned. So, if you plan on running dungeons or you plan on running raids, then Pit and Bolt Glass Master are definitely the ways to go. But anything works, anything can drop high stat, it's just not guaranteed, unlike those sources. So, moving on to the next one, and this is going to be my favorite way of getting high stat armor. We have Dares of Eternity. Now, if you run the Legend Dares of Eternity, it doesn't mention this at all, actually, and I don't think Bungie's ever mentioned this. But if you get armor from the final chest, not the lightning round chest, the actual final chest that is surrounded by Xur and the Star Horse, if you get armor from that chest, it is guaranteed high stat no matter what. And I'm telling you, it is very high stat. I am actually wearing gloves from that, and you can see this, 88 in perfect places for this. I have other pieces as well. We have 88 here, that came from it. We have this. This is actually 89, but I'm using Protective Light. That came from that. I've got, let's see, this came from it. 87. This came from it as well. Yep, this one right here, 90. I should have another thing in here too. Oh, I guess I don't. But yeah, it's very, very good. This is definitely the best way of getting high stat drops. And my favorite personally, it's because, you can just brain dead this. It's so easy to farm with randoms on LFG or whatever. You can just run it endlessly. You just equip Galley and you win, right? So you can just run this and get high stat armor through the roof. As long as armor's dropping. Obviously, if a weapon drops, then that's a chance at high stat armor gone. But you just run another one, and then you get armor, and then boom, it's high stat, and voila, you've got what you need. And this does work with ghost mods as well. So let's say I was using a recov ghost mod, then the high stat armor that drops will prioritize recov. So of course that's great. But yeah, that's pretty much the best ways of getting high stat armor. The rest of the sources are very hit or miss, very random. We have like corrupted expunges you can run, but obviously these are going to be gone. You can run the Empire hunts for high stat gear. You can see here, high stat. They do drop, but it's a bit hit or miss. I've never had anything good from this. I've just had 50s and very, very low 60s with not very good distribution. But it is all RNG, so maybe your experience will be different. You can get high stat gear from trials, you know, your powerfuls, prime engrams, and whatever. But those are very rare and very hit or miss. So I would suggest prioritizing the sources that I've kind of pointed out the most, because everything else is very... It's just RNG, right? You're going to be hitting some heavy walls trying to get triple 100s and quad 100s with and without stasis. So yeah, that's how you get high stat gear. Very straightforward, very easy. Just make sure you have the correct mods, as I mentioned earlier, and the fragments, and you should be golden. So, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Let me know what you think. And let me know what you think of quad 100s and if you're going to grind for it at some point. Obviously, this isn't the most ideal setup with it. I would like a neutral game exotic to achieve this at some point, so I can actually just like mess around unironically with quad 100s and it not be weird using Skull of Diramkara on Shadebinder. But yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching. Adios.